All right, going live time. Going live time now. Alrighty. Hey everybody, this is Frank with For the Old Breed. And today my guest is Michael Kimzey. Michael Kimzey's a purple belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner under Roberto Travern. And thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, brother. So, tell us your story, man.
Well, I've been a grappler my whole life. I wrestled for several years. I ended up wrestling in college for 2 years, and I hurt my knee, and I had to stop wrestling completely. And unfortunately, I was used to eating a whole lot of food and losing it during wrestling practice. But once wrestling practice ended, I just had all that food, and eventually I got up to 500 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I coached wrestling. I was always involved in wrestling, but I couldn't do it anymore. So fortunately for me, I got bariatric surgery, and I lost about 260 pounds, 270 pounds, and I always missed grappling. I started grappling with my students and my wrestlers on the team again, and I really missed it. But on my way to work, there was this gorilla. There was a painting of a gorilla on the side of this building. Drove by it every single day, and it just said "Coffee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu" on it. And, I'm a fan of UFC. I knew about Jiu-Jitsu, but I had no idea what it was.
Okay.
So after wrestling season ended, and I'd lost all that weight, I just decided, man, I'm gonna give this a try. So I stopped in and I met Dusty Shelton, who was a purple belt at the time, but he's now a black belt under Chip Coffey. I met him. He talked to me and he said, you can give it a week. We'll give you a gi to try out. You can give it a week, free week of classes. I said, nah. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and sign up for a month. I said, because if I sign up for a month, if I don't like it, I'll still come because I paid the money.
Yeah, you committed yourself.
I committed to a month, yeah. And the first night I walked in there, I got the crap kicked out of me.
Yeah.
By everyone in there. And finally, they matched me up with another white belt. Tall, skinny guy, dude named Reed Rhodes. And I was like, oh, okay. Me, a big old huge guy, former wrestler, this scrawny guy, I'm going to do just fine against him. Nope. He destroyed me. And so I was hooked from then on out.
Yeah.
I started training 2-3 times a week, tried to up it to 4 or 5 times a week. My wife really getting annoyed at that point because I was always at the gym. So I asked her to try a class out, and now we're both purple belts under Professor Trapp.
Yeah.
So it's like a family affair now. She trains all the time, I train all the time, and I just absolutely fell in love with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Once I found out as a white belt that they actually had adult tournaments, I was definitely sold on it because I love to compete, I love to win, and I started doing tournaments, and now I've traveled all over the country. I've been to Vegas, I placed third at Worlds last year. I've been to Boston, I've been to Austin, I've been to Nashville, I've been to Kansas City, I've been everywhere competing.
Yeah, I've seen you, man. You've been kicking ass and taking names, and I've seen you with some big dudes. I'm like, damn, how did Michael beat that dude?
Yeah, well, I'm very deceptive. When people look at me, they don't see. I have a huge belly. I don't look very athletic, but the thing they don't understand is I don't stop.
Yeah.
I've beaten so many people because they just tire out, and I keep going. And it's just that the love of winning just drives me.
Listen, some of the finest warriors that I ever met, you could never tell that they were dangerous men.
Yeah.
Never could tell. They were just like the nicest people,
Yeah, I try to be very nice.
That's the way to be, man. That's the way to be. But where are you from? You got like a little twang to you.
Oh, I'm originally from Chatsworth, Georgia, and I now reside in Cartersville.
Oh, so you're from Georgia. Okay.
I am from Georgia, yeah, born and raised.
Yeah, best state in the union. I don't know. I'm a little biased. I love this place. It's just incredible. But yeah, man. So how did you meet your wife?
Actually, we met in college. We both graduated from the University of North Georgia in Dahlonega, and I took a job as a dishwasher at a yoga resort,
Mm-hmm.
and just out of chance, she also worked there, and her last night at work was my first night at work. So we just met that one night, and
At a yoga resort?
yeah, neither one of us did it. I washed dishes. She was just a receptionist and server.
Really? You're gonna have to give me the address to that
Oh,
place.
it's closed down now.
Damn it! I'm a big fan of yoga pants. But so how long have you been training, Michael?
Just about 4 years and 3 months now.
And just obviously it must be like constant, because I mean, for you to go in 4 years from a white to a purple, that's a lot of training.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough, I got my blue belt from Professor Chip Coffey after 10 months
Mm-hmm.
because I was training almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 2.5 years later, I was fortunate enough to receive my purple belt from Professor Travin.
Yeah.
And now I'm one of the co-owners of Rolling Panda with Professor Brent Hamilton, who's been on this show.
Yeah.
And man, we train every single day we can.
I love Brent. He's such a great guy.
I'm just kidding.
I do,
He's
man.
great.
He's just like just the nicest guy ever, man.
Well, really, I was very fortunate with him when we were training at Coffee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He really just took me under his wing and
Mm-hmm.
started coaching me. He'd go to every tournament I went to, and even to coach. I mean, he's flown to Boston just so he could coach me. He ended up competing just because he was going.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's been to Kansas City to coach me. He's been to Austin, Texas to coach me. It's amazing to have somebody like that really support you
Mm-hmm.
and just be there for you in every sort of way. And like, he's definitely my main training partner.
Mhm.
He beats the living crap out of me every day.
Mhm,
But,
yeah.
but I feel like he's making me better.
Of course,
So-
of course. But why do you think you became so addicted to jiu-jitsu?
That's a great question. There was just something about that first time when you submitted somebody.
Yeah.
You just hooked. People say like, I'm terrible at golf, but I get that one good hit every time I go. They get
Yeah.
you to come back, and just the team aspect of it. When you get into the competitions and you get into the competition training, the tournaments, and all that, it really fills a void that a former high school athlete probably misses. I know that I miss the team aspect. I miss riding on the buses with my wrestling
Yeah.
teammates. All that sort of thing. It filled that void,
Mm-hmm.
and it just became, for a while, it was an obsession. Like, I was just obsessed with jiu-jitsu, and I could not get enough of it.
Yeah, I think it's the camaraderie, man. I think all men, we need that.
Absolutely.
I think it comes through. I think it's like almost evolutionary.
Just the fact that you're literally fighting for your life, even though
Yeah.
it's simulated. They're not going to murder you, but it's simulated murder. And the fact that you're fighting for your life, just something about it makes you grow so much closer with the people around you.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think people should try this sport? Why do you think people should try jiu-jitsu besides any other sport?
Well, I mean, again, the team aspect of it. If you were a former athlete that misses the team, misses the camaraderie, that's one reason for it. The fact that it keeps you in peak physical conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go through a jiu-jitsu training session without getting a little bit better in shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or you're going to be lying in the fetal position.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to fight to try to survive, then you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you have that spark that wants you to get better, it wants you to at least improve yourself, you're going to get in great shape. That, and it's an excellent source of self-defense.
Mm-hmm. And how much weight have you lost? Like, what's your current weight right now?
Like, I'm a little heavier than I should be. I'm about 285 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I went from 500 pounds. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was still about 300, and I
Mm-hmm.
got all the way down to 203 was the lowest I got.
Yeah.
But I got tired of cutting the super heavy.
Yeah.
I gained a little bit of weight. Super heavy is 222 pounds. I missed weight in Vegas at the U.S. Nationals.
Mhm.
Got really depressed about it, and I decided to stop cutting weight. And now I've put on a little bit more weight because ultra heavy, there's no limit to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, man. I sympathize with you guys because I talked to Jonathan Robinson. And man, you guys are, just by looking at you, I mean, you could probably look at a hamburger and fucking just balloon up, man. And I'm just lucky, I have just good genes. I could literally eat all day, and I just don't really pick up any weight.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I have a thyroid condition that makes losing weight actually pretty difficult for me. That's why I ended up having to do the bariatric surgery. But I mean, it is what it is. I still do pretty good, even at the ultra heavyweight.
Dude, you're getting after it. You're getting after it. Like I said, I've seen you. I've seen a few of your matches, and they weren't big guys. They looked like gorillas. And I saw you and him, and then I just saw barely the end of the match, and I saw them raising your hand. I'm like, I can't believe Michael beat that guy up.
I think the heaviest person I've competed against was 550 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to foot sweep him to the ground, and I wasn't going to let him up. I definitely didn't want him underneath. Oh, I didn't want to be underneath him. I can assure you of that.
So do you think that jiu-jitsu makes you more humble, or do you think it makes you more arrogant?
Well, for me, being a moderately successful wrestler, people were worried that my ego couldn't handle jiu-jitsu because I have seen state champion wrestlers walk into the room, think they're going to dominate people, and just get destroyed.
Yeah.
And they never come back.
Yeah.
For the longest time, and I think jiu-jitsu works well to curb any ego. If you can take the beatings that people are going to give you, knowing that they're only trying to make you better, knowing that they do care about you, you can adapt yourself to be a very humble person. I have zero ego. I have had moderate success, but every time I go into a training session, I'm getting killed.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to Midtown at Professor Travin's, there's been several times that I've not scored any points in a whole training session.
Yeah, there's some animals over there.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing about jiu-jitsu, I mean, just the fact that there's so many levels to it. It doesn't matter what the person's size is. It doesn't matter what their strength is. It only matters about their jiu-jitsu. Like a great example is your son.
Yeah.
I probably outweigh your son by double.
Yeah.
And he destroys me. He is a beast.
Yeah, dude. I have said it more than one time that I really don't even train with Elijah because I just feel like I'm wasting his time because he's just so above me, man. You know what I'm saying?
He and I both, we compete all the time. He and I both have had moderate success, but I always say he and I don't do the same sport. I play chess.
Yeah,
he plays check. I mean, I play checkers. He plays chess.
Dude, I feel the same way. Tell me, I know that especially now in the jiu-jitsu community, man, what do you think about this whole COVID-19 thing?
I think that, safety first. If people are any type of symptoms, stay home, but make sure you're cleaning the mats properly, make sure you're sanitize your hands, sanitize your face, and just use common sense. And I think that, especially with jiu-jitsu guys, most of us, if we contracted that virus, would survive. Because we're used to being...
I agree, man.
On dirty mats,
I totally agree with
dirty
you.
gis, dirty people just rolling around and being in close quarter contact. I don't see COVID taking down a jiu-jitsu guy.
So, as always, I have to kind of like put that out there because I don't want to get people looking like, oh, what are they saying? And like, this is completely bro science. That's all that we're doing. We're just talking. But yeah, man, I really believe that the fact that we do this sport and we're rolling around with other men, I think we actually build a tolerance.
Absolutely. We're exposed to so many different people and all the germs that they carry. I mean, there's no way your immune system's not going to be at least stronger than the average person that doesn't have any type of close quarter contact.
Exactly. So I was telling, and I'm just putting it out there again because I just want people to use their brains, that I think a lot of the times it's the media that drives what they want to drive. Because I had a friend of mine who was a jiu-jitsu guy too, and his brother's a doctor, and they had this kid, he was a young man that died of COVID, and he was like 20-something years old, and they put it out there basically to tell people, well, listen, COVID can get anybody. but he was 450 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's like, why isn't the media reporting that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
or like the 22-year-old here in Georgia that died of COVID that had underlying issues.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, and I agree, and I think that the media, you know, once they started the 24-hour news cycle, ratings should have never mattered when it came to news.
Mhm.
But now that it does, and CNN, Fox News, and all them are competing with each other, the simple fact is, if it bleeds, it leads. They're going to report
Yeah, man.
on horrible things. They're going to try to report the facts in a way that's going to scare the people into watching.
Yeah.
You know, so even though I think COVID, I mean, it has killed 100,000 people, it is a very serious thing. I
Yeah.
just don't think it is as dangerous to most people as the media would want you to think.
Listen, man, I agree with you. Even like I was telling Elijah today, it was with all these riots that happened. Dude, I wasn't even aware. I was actually out in Atlanta last night.
Mhm.
I think of all the restaurant owners that had their windows broken that haven't been able to work for the last 50 plus days, and then now somebody comes in and breaks their windows. It's like they're already struggling and you're making it worse. It's like, what did these small business owners do? They had nothing to do with that,
Mhm.
but now they're paying for it.
Yeah.
I just find it to be so completely unfair. And at the end of the day, I'm a small business owner myself.
Yes.
You have a business to run too. And yeah, man, I just really, I trust less and less what the media has to say, because you said it right there, man. If it bleeds, it leads. So it's not, they're not taking care of us. They just want more ratings.
I agree.
And how do you feel about that?
I mean, I agree in many ways that there should be more, less sensationalizing when it comes to the media. But I mean, that's the world we're living in. You know, they got to get revenue somehow, and the only way to get revenue is to have viewers. The only way to have viewers is to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem, and it's now we're all scared. I mean, I've done what I've done always. I truly believe that I build a certain immunity just living the life that I've lived.
Mhm.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a pretty much healthy individual. It's not like I go around coughing on people, but you know, I just, yes, okay. So if you have underlying issues, by all means, quarantine yourself.
Mhm.
But I'm an American. Don't tell me that I need to stay home, because I need to pay. At the end of the day, man, I need to pay my bills, and I should be able to have that choice as an American.
Yeah, and it's just it's an unprecedented situation with the fact that we have, we're a capitalist society. Capitalism is run
Yes.
on revenue, and people have to generate revenue. They have to earn their wages. They have to earn their living, and if they don't, then everyone's stuck not being able to do anything. And it's a sticky situation to me. I mean, I don't have the answers, but
I don't either, man.
I say use precaution, wear a mask for your safety and the safety of others, and let us go do what we got to do. You know?
Yeah. Listen, I don't have the answers. Like I said, I'm relying on my 47 years of living on planet Earth, and trying to be pragmatic and practical about the way that I see the world. And it's like, yeah, even the IBJJF. I mean, okay, so supposedly they're going to cancel. From what I've heard, they're going to cancel for 2020. They could open up earlier.
They've officially canceled all tournaments. In June, Professor Hamilton and our wives, we were going to the British Nationals to compete. We had our plane tickets for the Washington D.C. Open, the Dallas Open, Worlds in Las Vegas. All of that's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4 major tournaments we were going to, and now we can't do it. It's 14 months until the next World Championship. That's just...
Exactly. So, but my point, Michael, is like, you're shutting down a sport where people are, I mean, you have to be a healthy individual to do the sport, you know? So, you're going to shut us down for an entire year. You know, Elijah was getting ready to do Pan Am. He's getting ready to do Worlds. He's been training, like a savage.
Like a madman.
Yeah, man, and that too, it just got all shut down.
And what the problem is it's an old term we use in teaching. It's called CYA, cover your ass.
Yeah.
Everyone's having to cover their ass because you're right. 99% of us could probably go to Worlds and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody, 5-10 people at the entire tournament contract COVID,
Mm-hmm.
now you're going to think about lawsuits. You got to think about
I understand.
that. And that's just, it's a sad fact that that's the world we live in. We live in a very litigious society, and people are going to sue for anything. So,
but that's why I go back to, I think it's at the end of the day, man, it's like it's driven by the media. It's like I talk to, and all I'm doing here, guys, is for us to just think and use our minds. Let's use our minds. So if we were to, let's say, measure every person that dies every single day in the United States of America, I mean, how many people are killed with, so auto accidents have gone down. Why have auto accidents gone down? Because people are not driving.
Correct.
Right? But people die every single day from driving, right? You've heard this before. How many people die from the flu every single year, right? How many cancer patients die? This is just something to think about. In California, people are now going to, and I've said it on this podcast, they're now going to chemotherapy treatment. So how many people that have cancer are going to be affected because they don't want to go to treatment because they don't want to get COVID-19?
I mean, probably a lot, I would say, yeah.
Or people that have depression problems, or suicide rates, or domestic violence. So there's basically a ripple effect of all this stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but again, this is just an unprecedented situation. We were ill prepared for it, which we should have been prepared for. Which I don't have the answers on how to prepare for it, but there should have been a better plan in place in order to stop the spread and there just should have been a better plan.
All right, man. So we're gonna pivot because like I've talked about this this issue to death. Listen, man. I'm just frustrated, man. I'm frustrated because I'm seeing my country are seeing hardworking people lose their homes, lose their business, their livelihood.
I think the whole country's frustrated. I mean, you're seeing. We are very fortunate that everyone at our gym continued to pay.
Yeah.
And we were blown away by that. Even though we had shut down for several months, every one of our members continued to pay, so we were able to stay open. But I mean,
That's
you're
awesome.
seeing world champion black belts, their gyms are closing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very sad situation.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I definitely think the entire country's frustrated, and just we really want answers, and we really want to go back to a sense of normalcy. But I don't know when that's going to happen. Hopefully soon. The summertime's got to be good for it. I mean, there's no way that flu spreads in wintertime. COVID's going to spread in the wintertime. The hotter it gets, I think the better it'll be, and fairly soon we will hopefully be back to normal.
Yeah, and honestly, man, it feels like the summer, but it doesn't feel like the summer. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. I've been my profession is a teacher, and I've been out of school since the middle of March.
What do you do? What do you teach?
I do high school level moderately disabled special education.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
dude.
it's the best job in the world.
I didn't
it's
know you did
amazing.
that.
Yeah, it's like Down syndrome, traumatic brain injury,
Really?
some autism, man. It's like the best job ever. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Doing that.
No, dude. So like I said, why I started this podcast is because I wanted to show people, interesting people here in our home state of Atlanta, Georgia, or Georgia. Let's say Georgia, because we're not in the city. But point being is, I always notice, man, that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys are so like very chill type of people. Not loud mouth.
Well, they don't have to be. In
Exactly.
most cases, like some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. A gentleman named Octavius Allen, black belt from Gracie Baja in Alabama. So nice, so mild-mannered. You would never think for a second that he would destroy your entire world if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But he would.
Yeah.
He was a world champion at brown belt. Now he's a black belt, and just you would never think that he was a badass. But I mean, so jiu-jitsu guys don't have to be loud. They don't have to be egotistical because they know in most situations, in a public place, 99% of the people there wouldn't even hold a candle to him.
Exactly. And I just want to push that out, Michael, because I see a lot of podcasts where they promote a certain martial arts, and it really what set me off about watching some of these podcasts that it was related to like men's issues is to try for men to become better men. This is supposedly what they're trying to do, and this guy was talking about, well, you need to start doing Krav Maga. And dude, I don't care about Krav Maga, but the point being was this same guy had only taken Krav Maga about a month, and then when it came to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he was basically bad mouthing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm like, dude, that's like, you're doing a podcast about trying to guide men into doing something, and you have no experience.
Yeah.
And then he had another guy that was supposedly some world champion kickboxer, and he's like, yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu doesn't work. And I'm like, for a guy that does Thai boxing, for him to say that, I would put money on the table that he could go to Taverns today, or let's say next weekend, and he would probably get beat by a high-level blue belt.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it amazes me how people can criticize a martial art in any form. Like, if you haven't trained it, you can't speak about it. But I would recommend anyone try out at least some sort of martial art. It doesn't matter what kind, because not only will it teach you some sort of self-defense, it will also teach you discipline, and it will also teach you, the main thing is to be less confident in your abilities to fight. That's one thing that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has taught me, is now I will try my best to avoid a fight.
Of course.
Joe Rogan said it best when he said he was amazed at how people that have never trained any sport whatsoever, any martial art whatsoever, are so confident in their abilities. Training Jiu-Jitsu the way I do, and with the people that I train with, I know now that you cannot judge a book by their cover.
Definitely
You
not.
don't know who this person is. You don't know what they've done. You don't know if they're a Muay Thai champion. You don't know if they're a beast purple belt that won worlds 2 years in a row. You just can't tell just by looking at somebody. So you have to approach them as if they're more skilled than you. So anytime I'm in a public situation and I do see the possibility of a confrontation, I try to avoid it.
Of course.
And I'm still confident in my abilities, but I'm also aware that I can't tell what that person's capable of.
Exactly.
So people that have never trained any martial art go into a fight with so much confidence, and they just have no idea who they're dealing with. I can't see people like that. I just don't understand it anymore.
So listen, I'm not here to badmouth any other martial arts.
Yeah.
I think that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the most effective. There's a reason why the Army and the Marine Corps are basically doing combatives, and the whole system, Michael, is based on Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Absolutely.
Even Professor Travern, he taught some Rangers. It's Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why the military is adopting Jiu-Jitsu.
Absolutely. I mean, once you go to the ground, you're going to have to understand what you're doing, and that's exactly what Jiu-Jitsu will teach you. My Professor Hamilton says, get comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and that's exactly what Jiu-Jitsu will unlock for you. Somebody takes you down in a double leg and you're flat on your back. There's no need to panic anymore. You've got all the offense in the world from your back.
Exactly.
If you take someone down, you've got all the offense in the world from on top. It's just that level of calmness that can overtake you once you understand what you're doing on the ground could be extremely beneficial for anyone.
Yeah. No, and even not just for young men, but even for women. I mean, like I said, the act of attacking a female, the act of rape itself, if a woman is on her back and she knows Jiu-Jitsu, I don't care how big you are. If she knows Jiu-Jitsu, you're getting tapped out.
Yeah.
Right?
I have little doubt that someone that has not trained any martial art whatsoever attacks my wife. I have little doubt that they will be in deep trouble. They will think the devil got a hold of them.
Now, do you
So-
guys train together at all?
Absolutely.
Or
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm her favorite training partner because she beats the fire out of me.
really?
Yeah, she calls it the best marriage therapy in the world.
But is it even, or do you use any manpower at all, or you try to be more technical?
I try to use my technique, and for a while it worked.
Mm.
But the more she trained and the better she
She's
got,
getting better.
she's a lot better. So, and she's a straight savage.
Yeah,
She is. She's mean.
dude, I've made that mistake before with a 13-year-old. I think she was a judo player, and I kept giving her stuff, and she just started picking up on it, and she got me in an arm lock.
Yeah, I mean,
13 years old.
and that seeing jujitsu in action like that with a female, it definitely will encourage anyone. It will show them the benefits of the sport, because if you get a hold of a female that is a purple belt or higher, and you're just a white belt, and you think, oh, I'm gonna go easy on her because she's just a girl, yeah, you're gonna go to sleep, and you're gonna pay the price.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, women are that's the thing, is because they can't rely on strength, man, so it has to be technical.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a girl that trained with us at Chip Coffee's. Her name's Heather Williams. And the first time I rolled with her, I did that. I was a blue belt. She was a blue belt. And I said, I was like, let's just use her technique. She's so much smaller than you. Let's not hurt her. Let's do this. Let's do that. And about 10 seconds later, I'm panicking. I'm like, I have got to use my strength. I've got to use everything I have, because this woman's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And she's a badass as well.
Yeah. So listen, man. So because so your lineage comes from Coffee, Brent Hamilton, and of course Professor Roberto Traver.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about Professor Roberto Traver.
Well, the first time I met that man, it was very intimidating, because my original professor, Chip Coffee, just built him up, put him on a pedestal, which he absolutely deserves. And so I was so intimidated when I first met the man, and he coached me in one of the first matches he coached me in. I didn't really understand the rule set completely, and again, when I compete, I don't stop moving.
Yeah.
I don't ever stop moving. I'm always trying to score points. I'm always trying to. So I was winning pretty big, and he's just screaming at me. He's stop moving.
Yeah.
And I got off the mat. He said, "You almost gave me a heart attack." But meeting him, it's just really one of the black belts, Gabriel. I forget his last name, but when he went to Israel, he gave a little goodbye speech, and he was just like, "You guys will never understand just how important Roberto Traven is."
Oh, Gabriel, that dude's a savage.
He is very much a savage. Yes.
Yeah.
He said, since you guys are not from Brazil, you will never understand how important Professor Traven is in the sport. And I try to understand that, but it's very difficult to really put the man on the pedestal that he needs to be on. I mean, it's just like he's already on a high pedestal, but in the sport of jiu-jitsu, man, he is extremely important. And just the fact that when he learned my name, I called my wife and I was like, "Oh, he knows my name!" Like,
Yeah.
But once Professor Coffee sold his gym, Professor Traven actually promoted me to purple belt completely by surprise. I just went down there to train like normal. A lot of people from Cartersville came down to Midtown, and I was like, "Why's everybody here?" And then the next thing I know, he had the purple belt around my waist, and it was the best day ever.
I'm sure it's got to be awesome, great feeling, right?
I mean, and you always get like imposter syndrome. Every time when I got my blue belt, I had imposter syndrome. When I got my purple belt, I really had it. Like, I don't deserve this. I didn't earn it yet. I'm not at that level. And Professor Hamilton was like, a two-time world champion, a two-time adult world champion said that you're worthy of that purple belt. Don't you think you're worthy of it? And I'm like, yeah, okay.
No, but that's a good, listen, man, that's a good way to look at it, because whatever, man, it just keeps you humble, man.
Yeah, I mean, people outside of yourself see things that you just can't see.
Yeah.
I'm by far the world's worst critic to myself. Like, I can never, like, I hate losing. I always get down on myself when I lose. I can never satisfy myself. So for the fact that people outside of me can see things in me that I can't. It's a really special thing.
Mm-hmm.
A really special thing. And the fact that Professor Travin saw enough in me to promote me to purple belt, man, it just blew me away. It made my whole year, really.
Yeah, I know, and that's a great way to look at it, because I think sometimes people get too caught up in moving up in belt.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of getting promoted. You should just enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm fully committed to this sport now, and I know that someday I will have the black belt tied around my waist, but I'm in no hurry to get it. I would love to win a couple world titles at purple belt.
So you definitely want to be a world. you want Michael Kimzey wants to be a world champion.
Yes, sir. I sure do. I placed third last year at Worlds, at Master Worlds, and lost in the semifinals to a really, really good guy, but just not satisfied with that. I mean, I think that I got to the point where I could be a world champion, and that's my goal. If it happens at purple, wonderful. If it happens at brown, awesome. If it happens at black, I'd be surprised, but I would definitely be happy.
Yeah, no.
But, I mean, it just gives me something to drive for. I can't be the type of person. I mean, I would still train if I didn't compete, but competing just puts the icing on the cake. It just really drives me to get better. There's always something to strive for, you know. And I think that people that just casually do jiu-jitsu can get a whole lot out of it, but when you compete, you just get so much more. Like, there's so many people that I've met, that I call my friends, that I see at tournaments, just awesome people that I would never have met if I didn't compete.
Yeah.
I would never have seen some of the great matches that I've saw if I wasn't a competitor. I wouldn't have seen parts of the country that I saw. Because I'm a competitor. I really think to get the full experience of jiu-jitsu, you need to compete at least once, because you get that experience, and you really get to feel like what it's like if someone comes at you 100%. So you need to know how your body's going to react and how your brain's going to react in a situation where someone is seriously trying to not necessarily hurt you, but defeat you in a competitive manner. Because if you never test yourself in that environment, what happens on the street, you don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah.
And so I definitely recommend anybody that does jiu-jitsu to compete at least once. But I think that if you become a regular competitor, you get so much more out of the sport than the normal person does.
Yeah, no, Elijah says that all the time about competition. That you should compete.
Because it doesn't matter what the person in training is doing. Nobody ever comes at you 100%.
Yeah.
They may be a black belt and you may be a purple belt, but that black belt's going to be working on things that they want to improve on.
Yeah.
They're going to put themselves in situations that aren't necessarily the best situation for them, just to see how they're going to react, what you're going to do. They're trying to get better, but in a competition, they are trying to defeat you. And you really, truly need to know how your body's going to react.
Now, what's your game though? Like, what's your strategy? Are you like a bottom guy, top guy? What do you like to do?
I am definitely not a guard puller.
No.
If you see me on bottom, something went wrong.
Really?
I just, being a wrestler, I'm used to
being on top
and I'm doing takedowns and doing it, just dominating on top. If I pull guard, it's because the takedown has failed, or I'm desperate for points at the very end. And I train on bottom constantly. I'm constantly pulling guard in training, but it's just, there's something about it. I'm just not that talented at it.
Dude, it's just not you.
I'm a big guy. I'm 38 years old. I've had knee surgery. I'm just not that flexible, and people are just faster than me. So when I'm pulling guard, most people pass, and then I'm fighting from side control. So in a competition, I'm definitely going to try to take you down.
But is it like what, a lot of lapel chokes or just arm bars? What?
Oh, my favorite is the scarf hold. It's just the head and arm choke. I've submitted at least half my submissions have been from the scarf hold.
You're gonna have to send me that, because I love, because I'm a smaller guy, so I like to be on my back.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of back problems, so I do a lot of old man jiu-jitsu, man.
Absolutely.
A lot of
I
old
do
man
too.
jiu-jitsu.
I do too.
You know?
I work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, but I know Brent does it. So you're doing the same style as Brent, because Brent likes to be on top too.
Absolutely. He's my main training partner, so a lot of the things that he does have just blended into my moveset, because just from habit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've felt him submit me thousands of times with wrist locks, with arm locks, with everything that he does. So of course you're going to adapt yourself to that game.
Yeah, you guys got to teach me those wrist locks too, man. I heard those things are pretty deadly.
They're brutal.
Yeah, I got to learn that, man.
I got very fragile wrists, and he destroys them all the time.
Really?
He has no mercy.
Yeah? I got to start videotaping you guys when you go to Atlanta, man.
Yeah, well, it's not the best training. I don't. That's not my best down there. I can't really score points at Midtown.
Yeah, dude, those guys. I mean, I've been in there. It's like, dude, it's like an hour and a half of you guys just getting after it.
Yeah.
Man.
And every time I've been in that room, there has been world champions in that room.
Yeah.
You can't help but get better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're at a Professor Travin class, but you might not necessarily score. You might not necessarily submit anyone, but you definitely get better if you survive.
Now, does your wife want to be a world champion too, or what does she want?
She has a little bit of competition jitters. She went down to Orlando as a blue belt, and we talked her into competing, and she dominated. She beat a lot of people and did really well in the tournament, but she just said it wasn't for her.
Really?
I would love for her to compete at the world level in Vegas. I think that she could place, if not win, but she just said competing's not for her. But
So she's gonna like stop competing and just wants to just basic.
yeah,
she wants to train.
Yeah, she's not competed since blue belt, and she's now purple, and it's been well over a year since she's competed. So
Really?
I would love to see her compete more, but if she doesn't want to, that's okay too.
Yeah, man. When you get a chance, man, you should ask her. I'd love to have her on just to. I want to get a woman's perspective, because it's got to be so. To me, I don't know. To be a woman in the sport where it's so male dominated, how do you feel about that? Are you cool with it or what?
I think that just like in any sport, if you encourage women to participate, you're going to see the sport grow. I'm a huge advocate for girls wrestling in high school. I want them to have their own team. I want them to have their own state tournament, because that will save the sport of wrestling.
Yeah.
And the same way with jiu-jitsu, I encourage all females to compete, not compete, but to participate in jiu-jitsu, because it is such a wonderful self-defense tool. But, a lot of places, women can feel uncomfortable when it's a bunch of just sweaty guys and geese.
Yeah.
Whoever, if you have not the most gentlemanly members in your gym, which we don't have that issue, but some gyms, you can be intimidating for women. They can just be soured on the whole experience. But my wife actually teaches the women's class on Tuesdays at Rolling Panda, and we have a very welcoming atmosphere for women. And how could you not want to improve your ability to defend yourself in a real situation?
Yeah, no, I've seen that, man. I have seen that as far as especially with young men, not actually being rough with them. It's man, you could just get so much more out of even a slow roll with a woman, and it's not like you're giving up or you're making it easier. You're both getting something out of it, man. It's almost like if you train with somebody that's not as good as you, they're still getting something out of it. If you give, like you said, you give them those holds, you give them that, and it helps your jiu-jitsu too, don't you think?
It's a great, if you're rolling with a smaller female and you have concern about their safety, you really have to rely on just your technique. You take your strength out of it, you take your aggressiveness out of it, and you just use your technique, and it will expose just how weak
for real
your actual jiu-jitsu
That's true,
is.
man. That's true.
Yeah. So it's a good measuring stick on how you are really putting your technique to work. Every time I roll with my wife, if I don't be aggressive and I don't use my strength, she destroys me. Her technique is so much better than mine, and her ability to be aggressive is just so much better than mine, especially against me, that if I don't raise my game
Mm-hmm.
with my technique, I'm just going to get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
She's beat me plenty of times.
So is she gonna have more of a supportive role as far as like she wants to, obviously she's gonna go watch you compete, right?
Yeah, absolutely. She watches. She goes to almost every tournament. There's been a few like Boston she didn't go to, but she drives me to tournaments. She supports me in every way. She's my biggest cheerleader. She doesn't have the cleanest mouth when it comes to cheering for me. She's had several
gotcha.
warnings from.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I've never seen that. Okay.
She tried to fight the entire Gracie Baja team in Orlando.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a really tight match. Not a tight match. I was losing 13-0, but I submitted him with 20 seconds to go.
Really?
Yes, and she lost her mind.
Did you guys get that on videotape?
Well, she was videotaping, and about halfway, the video kind of went down because she was cheering so hard.
Oh,
we have the audio, but I don't know.
Damn it! I wish I would have seen.
I don't know
that,
if we
man.
can clear it even for a YouTube show.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little bit of foul language in there.
Your wife seems so like nice. And
She's literally
gentle.
She's literally the best. No,
Yeah, but she just gets out of control with the mouth, huh?
She's nice and gentle when she wants to be. But
I got
when
you.
she wants to be aggressive,
Yeah.
buddy, she can do it.
No, and listen, at the same time, maybe she's not going to compete for a while, and maybe she will just train and train and train, and then eventually she'll be like, you know what, I want to compete again.
I hope so. I would love to see it, but if it doesn't happen, I'll be happy that she at least trains.
Listen, that's what I tell people too, man. Dude, I'm 47. I have no aspirations of being a world champion. I'm at the point of my life to where I just want to get more people into this sport. So I enjoy training with like white belts because I love it when they get it. I love it when they start understanding, let's say, passing the guard.
Yeah. And that's a great thing about our sport is we will match whatever you're in it for.
Mm-hmm.
If you are simply there to get in better shape, that's fine. We'll match that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't expect anything else from you. If you're there to be a world champion and you're going to train 6-7 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day, that's fine too. We'll be there for you for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want out of this sport, the people in this sport will give to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want strictly to be self-defense, that's fine. That's what we'll work with you with.
Mm-hmm.
We have a member in Rolling Panda who's a doctor. He's a psychiatric doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He's only there to be able to defend himself in case one of his patients gets violent.
Yeah, Brent told me about that.
And
That's crazy.
that's all he works on. He works on being able to take them down and being able to hold them down. And he's extremely good at it, but that's all he wants out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to be a world champion. He doesn't want to be a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will give you everything you want from it.
So do you meet different people, like different people that do different jobs in the jiu-jitsu community, or what?
Absolutely.
What kind of people have you met?
I mean, it's probably one of the best ways to network, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plumbers, there's electricians, there's construction workers, there's teachers, there's lawyers, there's doctors, every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dr. Chris, orthopedic surgeon, black belt, Roberto Travin. He can break it off and sew it back up.
I know, Elijah told me that guy's a beast.
He is an animal.
Yeah.
It's amazing what that man's capable of. And I wouldn't mess with him.
So guys, this falls in line because this podcast is about men's issues. What Michael just said about, making relationships. So I'm a small business owner, and because of what I do, with my business and with what Elijah does, I've been able to connect with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if it wasn't for my son, I would have never met you.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never met Brent. I would have never met most of the people that I
Mm-hmm.
know because of this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. And I always find it so amazing that you have so many different, vastly different types of people that do this sport.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people get it mixed up between MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of invites like really cerebral type people.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, it's a human chess match. You have to be able to think 2 or 3 moves ahead, and it's literally there's what I enjoy about it is the fact that you have to be so focused and in that moment. You have to be trying to think about what they're going to do, what you're going to do, and you have to. It just everything fades away when you're doing jiu-jitsu. That's something I really love about it.
That's what Brent said. It's like if you think about something else, you're gonna get choked out.
Yeah, like I mean, I have generalized anxiety disorder. I have panic attacks at times. I pretty much live in a constant state of worry.
Do you really?
Yes, because of my anxiety. But for some reason, when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, there's no time for that. There's no time to panic. There's no time to worry about what that person's doing because you literally have to be in that moment. You have to be defending yourself at all times. So it just really just any trouble that you're thinking about, any worry that you have, just fades away when you're doing jiu-jitsu.
Now, where does that come from, man? This thing that you have.
Oh, I have no idea.
You've always had it?
I've had it since I was about 25. Just out of nowhere, just started having panic attacks, and I've been on medication since then. And I've done a lot of things to try to help with my anxiety. But the one thing that works the best is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you'd be surprised that it almost seems like. Really, no matter what you do in life, we're all battling something.
Absolutely.
Within us,
Absolutely. And my, with my anxiety and some things that were going on in my life, I struggled with alcohol for a long time.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I found that really helps in my recovery from alcohol is jiu-jitsu. I mean, it gives me something to focus on. It gives me something to work for. It gives me friends that I can relate to. I have, no matter what I want, I mean, no matter where I go, no matter where I am, if I find somebody that does jiu-jitsu, I know I can talk to them for hours. So it's just the kinship, the camaraderie, everything that somebody could really want in life, jiu-jitsu can't provide for it.
So there it is, guys. So if you're struggling with maybe whatever, I don't know, depression, drugs, alcohol.
Absolutely.
This would be a great way for you guys to maybe change your lives and do the sport, man, and get away from those sorts of things and try to do something positive. I mean, you're going to meet a lot of great people, man.
I have met hundreds of great people.
So it's it's not what you know. This is my belief, man. It's not what you know, is who you know. And if you're in any kind of business and you want to meet some interesting people, man, I think guys should really, really do this sport because you're going to meet a lot of great individuals and guys like Michael and guys like Brent that, yeah, you could probably see them out on the street. And these guys they're not loudmouth. They're not going. I mean, do you ever go out and look for fights?
Oh God, no.
No,
in my youth maybe. Now that I've been training jiu-jitsu and I understand what other people can be capable of, I would definitely avoid a fight at all costs.
And yeah, I mean, so if you were to see Michael, he's a dangerous man. You really are. I mean, listen, you guys don't get enough credit. I say it all the time. I mean, I see these guys on YouTube, and I'm like, that guy knows nothing. Why? But he, like Joe Rogan said, these guys that have this ego, and it's like they have Michael absolutely no training at all. Where does that come from? Is that just lunacy? What?
It's just the fact that they've never experienced somebody physically dominating. They have this ego in their brain that they're unstoppable, that they're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And I'm telling you, jiu-jitsu will teach you that you are not. You got a neck, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Somebody will choke you.
Yeah, somebody will. Yeah, somebody will put you in your place, guys. So I don't know. I think we're almost at an hour, Michael.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty. Listen, man, we're just back and forth. We're just having a regular conversation. I've actually had a couple of people cancel on me because they were nervous. I'm like, dude, don't.
Nah, it's fine.
Don't be nervous,
no reason
man.
to be nervous.
It's a good time. All we're trying to do, and all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to promote our beautiful sport And I think women, children, young men, especially young. I mean, did you grow up with both your parents?
My parents divorced when I was 8 years old, and I didn't see a whole lot of my dad. We have a great relationship now, though, so that's a good thing. But no, single household, and my mom tried her best to provide what she could, and you know.
But you always, but did you always felt like you needed a father figure, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I found it in several places. My grandfather, my wrestling coaches, and all that kind of stuff. And you definitely need a father figure.
Yeah, so, you know, that's what I always tell people. It's like references. We all have references in our lives. And I always tell people, I didn't have a father growing up. My father was the Army. And the Army basically told me to basically don't be a piece of shit. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. So to me, when I watch people make excuses and not take accountability for the things that they do in their lives, I almost feel like I wish, Michael, that I had this little glass container with a drill sergeant in it, and I wish I could just break that and just you know, we all need a drill sergeant in our lives, you know. But I definitely believe that by you doing wrestling, it kind of built that callus that you needed, right? Because you had, I mean, wrestling coaches, they're not softies.
No, mine certainly wasn't. He motivated through fear.
There you go, guys. So we're gonna have Michael say the last word. As far as whatever you want to say, Michael, please. Why should people start doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, if you feel like there's something missing in your life, whether it be camaraderie, whether it be competition, whether it be kinship with other people, no matter what it is, Jiu-Jitsu can provide that for you. If you can check your ego at the door, understand that it's not going to be easy, and it shouldn't be. But if you feel like you're missing something in your life and you don't know what it is, if you're struggling with something in your life, whether it be alcohol, whether it be depression, whether it be anxiety or whatever, give Jiu-Jitsu a try. I promise you, it can change your life. It changed mine for the better, and I couldn't live without it. It will definitely be part of me until I'm no longer part of this world.
There you go, guys. You heard it from the man himself. And if you ever run into this man, don't fight him. He will kill you. Okay? These guys are like gentle giants, but this is just to show you just a prime example of all these men that I've had on this podcast. These guys are very, very low key. But if you piss them off, they know how to hurt people. Right? So just like Michael said, don't ever underestimate anybody, because some of the hardest men out there are just like Michael, are just like Brent, are just like Jonathan, are just like Humberto. They're gentle, right? And they lead the path of the warrior, right? So there it is, folks. Hey, man, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. I had a great time.
And yeah, well, listen, man, we'll definitely have to have you back on again.
Sounds good to me. Anytime.
There it is, guys. For the old breed, I think we're out.
Deuces.
That was awesome, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was good stuff, brother. You're very fluid, just like all my guests, man. You guys are really, really. I'm